You're listening to the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan podcast with your hosts Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Jets fan Novak. Listen to us free on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
70 reported.
Did Decker report as well?
Yeah, the explanation was 70 reported.
Did Decker report?
Yes.
And do they need to announce that if both players report?
Two people can't report. I don't want to talk about it. All right? I explain everything pregame to a T. Okay? I did that. 70 reported, 58 didn't, or 68 didn't. We threw it to 68. That was the explanation.
Can you just explain the mentality to go for two there at the end? Obviously, you wanted to keep the game in your hand and try to win it.
I told the offense that we were going down 141 left. We're going to go down and score, and then we're going to go for two and finish this game out. I told them that, and so that's what we were doing.
And being backed up, that didn't change anything when you get backed up to the
Backed up where?
To the 7 instead of the 2 from the 2-point play. Did you think at all?
We were going for win.
So that is the reaction of Dan Campbell in the post-game conference. You might not have heard clearly some of the audio of the questions coming from there, but his responses were loud and clear. And he just didn't want to address what happened. He said basically he told the officials, and they didn't do what he told them pregame. And then when he was asked about why he still went for it, and he said they did it to win the game, and they were just going to forge ahead even if they had the 5-yard penalty. Well, which I think we'll get into a little bit later on why that may or may not have been a good decision, and we'll break down that whole sequence. But wild weekend this weekend. We were talking about before we came on the pod. Lots of things happen. You got the Panthers owner firing drinks at people. You got the the controversy in the Dallas game, college football playoffs. You got Eagles melting down. Just a ton of stuff that happened. But before we get to that, we are the Three Angry Giant Fans. It's your host, Scott, Giant Mike. Cardone is back in the fold, and we have Angry Jets fan Novak as well. And while I'm thinking about it, this reminded me of jerseys. We talk about Jersey, and this reminded me of one particular person in Jersey. You guys will get this immediately when I say it, but hello, Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
Population 15,188, and it was named after Francis Asbury, who was the first bishop of the Methodist Episcopal Church, and he made it a dry town, which it stayed a dry town for many, many, many years. But it wasn't dry when the music scene hit there. As we know, Bruce and his Greetings from Asbury Park classic album, John Bon Jovi played there. Many rockers played there. And little known fact, in 1943, the Yankees actually held their spring training there instead of Florida because the railroad was impacted because it was reserved just for war preparation.
I think there's a huge difference, Scott, between little known fact and zero known fact. I'm like, that is.
That's spring training in Asbury Park. It's not exactly the grapefruit league. That's more
how
like.
How is that possible?
Yeah. More like pork roll and egg sandwich league or something there.
What are they playing in snow?
I wonder if they had to dodge like flurries back then. It's like
I think that one would have stumped the Schwab had you tried,
Schwab. There's no way that guy wasn't getting fed the answers on that show. Get the fuck out of here with the Schwab.
I think the Schwab's dead now. I think he died a few years ago. I think he did. I could be wrong. I could be prematurely giving a little known fact that isn't.
Darren,
get on that.
I thought the Schwab passed away. I thought I remember seeing that.
That's I can't say that would be entirely shocking.
So Asbury Park though, yeah, many a rocker came through there, but Bruce used to frequent the clubs there and drop in and just do some live music.
Yeah,
Clarence Clemens is from there too.
Not very far from where Cardone and I grew up.
That's right.
An hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah, if
that, it wasn't far at all.
Yeah, 20-minute drive.
Yep.
So wild weekend of games. Giants found another creative way to lose a game, and this one really came down to Dable's mismanagement of the end of the game sequence. You had the play where Tyrod Taylor scrambles, looks like he's going to get a first down. Well, he gets the first down, and they get up and they spike the ball, which means they've wasted it down. They could have lined up, done a quick out, gotten some yards, but no, they spiked the ball. Then the next play is a draw play that actually loses yardage. And they're running draw plays like they're already at like the 20. This is a pet peeve of mine. When teams act like they're already in makeable field goal range and they're playing loose with it, and it's like, guys, you still need a good 10 yards to make that a no miss field goal. And as we saw, Mason Crosby missed the was it a 52 yarder, 54 yarder?
54. Yeah.
Yeah, but who doesn't sneak that draw for 15 yards there? I mean,
it's a great play if it works,
yeah, it's one of those. I actually liked the call when I saw it happening. I thought, this could, especially, I don't know, in that situation, how if you're playing the draw, aren't you like opening up, like at the game-winning touchdown? I don't understand how you stuff a draw unless the offensive line is basically invisible.
I had less of a problem with the draw, bigger problem with the spike.
Yeah,
because the spike and then the combined with the draw really just led us to a missed kick by Mason Crosby.
Yeah. Yeah, you just brought that up, Scott. I had that written down as one of my highlight bullets. I was pissed when Taylor spiked the ball there because I had at 42 seconds left. I think they had time. I know, again, running clock, we get it, but I did not like that wasted down right there. And then when Barkley got dumped for -2, now you're at 3rd and 12, and I said right away, I'm like, well, shit, now they're screwed if they get an incomplete pass and don't get another yard. We're trotting Crosby out there, and in 54-yard conditions, and we saw what he was able to do. But Mike, I liked your on the text thread, like everyone just drills 54-yarders around the NFL. Our guy, that ball, I mean, that looked like a scald 3-iron that couldn't get it right. Ball it barely gets above the crossbar from 54 yards. No chance. Unbelievable, man. I mean, we'll get into all the plays, but yeah.
Giants miss kicks in big situations. They never even have a chance.
No, never.
You
It's
see
right.
Some of them go up and they got the distance and it just fades left or right. When the Giants try something like that, it's like you said, it's just a scalded thing, bounces at the 10-yard line.
Yeah. It's just a duck snort to the left. Yeah, again, it's like when you got the shakes on the first tee, and you're all hungover and banged up at 8:00 in the morning, and you just shank one to the left. That was Crosby's 54-yarder. It's just
just right off the toe, no chance. There's no like getting up out of your chair. You just like, oh, Jesus. It's As I was, I had to refresh my memory a little bit on the details of this one, guys. I was not in great shape during that game as it was played.
You were angrier than normal. I said
I was.
Peacock texted me and said they're going to win it. When it was getting close.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we fucking blew it. And I said on top of it, I said Mike went into the game like acting like he didn't care and almost stroked out by the end.
I did. So. Bonnie was very worried.
Yeah,
but very worried.
Although I got to say, Scott, I was not watching the game, but I was watching my phone. I think you texted at 1:03 about a complaint about about the officiating.
3 minutes in.
I think it was on the kickoff or something. Like, already?
I think the two of the first 4 plays we had to challenge. We had to use challenges on plays that really didn't need to be challenged, but they were challenged.
That got me fired up too. That was like what lit the fuse for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I went into this game, like sort of mild-mannered, and I'm already raging by the middle of the first quarter because of the 2 challenges. And then the other thing was fucking Mark Sanchez, man. This guy is terrible.
Terrible.
He kept using the phrase, whether you like it or not, incorrectly.
Yeah.
He was talking about Williams from the Rams, and he goes, Williams is having a great season, whether you like it or not. Well, who's not going to like it?
I'm fine.
Is there anyone raging that Williams is having a good season? Oh, fuck Williams. Why is he having a good season?
The whole league's up in arms about Williams having a good season.
And on both of those plays too, where we ended up challenging, Stafford runs the team up to the line, and every quarterback does that. And Sanchez goes, "What a savvy move there for rushing the team to the line."
Yeah.
Well, Everyone does it.
Every quarterback's been doing that since video replay was invented.
Tommy DeVito would do it.
Yeah, it was nothing particularly savvy about that.
Savvy.
And the worst part was on like the Rams' first touchdown. It was like a 1-yard TD run, and they were going on and on about Nakua's blocking and how he comes in motion and he goes to block, and they show the replay and he's blocking nobody. He actually goes into the wrong hole and he doesn't hit anyone. So, but Sanchez says it, and not only does he say it and repeat it, but then it gets picked up by the halftime guys who are like, oh, Nakua's out there blocking. Well, Mike texted me. He's like, even the halftime guys are bought into the bullshit about Nakua's blocking.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just because someone says it, the rest of their colleagues just buy it.
Just have to
keep
got to roll with
repeating it. Yep.
So I was just fired up about Sanchez being a dumbass, the two challenges. And then, we ended up getting called for hold 5 times, offensive holding, Bellinger twice, wiped out 2 big plays. The Rams had 2 penalties all game. One was a defensive pass interference, and the other was a guy leaping over the line to block a field goal, which everyone knows in the NFL you can't do, but he did it anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was still, when I first saw it, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he was allowed to do that because he didn't look like he climbed the back of anybody, but it's just they all know that that's an illegal play. So thankfully that we got another shot there on that one. They gave us a first down, didn't it? On that play,
gave us a first down.
That's a 15-yarder. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what was funny about that play? He didn't push down the center. The guy that was over the center pushes the center down with 2 hands and allows him to leap up.
Yeah. Now that was much more savvy than
savvy
than anything that Stafford was doing.
So, and then the other notable thing that happened in that game is we've now allowed 83 sacks this season, which is the most in the season since 1990, only because they started compiling that particular look in 1990. I'm sure you go back further, it's probably even worse than that. So I think the next closest team had 74 sacks allowed, and that's in a 16-game season.
Gross.
83 sacks?
83 sacks. Divide that out. It's like 6 sacks a game.
That's
with 83, and they got one more to go.
Yeah, we got one more game left.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're shooting for 100.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, I wrote that down too. 6 more sacks. It's just built into the game plan. It's just part of the game plan. 6 sacks against. It's relentless, man.
Meanwhile, the Jets got their game over early. You probably feel like you've been on like football vacation for the last few weeks.
great having to watch that crap. I mean, yeah, I mean that game it seems like it was 5 weeks ago at this point. I mean, it's these days, but the days between Christmas and New Year's, I don't know if it's a Saturday, a Sunday, the 26th, 29th, I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
But yeah, that game, I knew within the first play that they were going to get their asses handed to them again. Njoku catches a crossing pattern right over the middle, and Sauce Gardner waves him on like a crossing guard. And I just, there were very specific plays where I saw them actually just giving up, not trying, avoiding getting hurt, all that kind of stuff. And guys, you can't script this shit with any other team than the Jets. The quarterback that they cast off and laughed at last year for being a statue is lighting them up, throwing touchdowns to the other receiver that they also cast off because he couldn't get on the field for the Jets, Elijah Moore. It's what next? What can they do next? And then today, of course, I'm going to bring it up because I got to get it out and get it over with. This dick is on Pat McAfee. Now the Jets are embroiled in the Jeffrey Epstein list. How is this possible that a football team is in the same breath as the Jeffrey Epstein list? I mean, come on. You can't script this stuff. You guys have seen it now. You've had a first row experience with me this whole year, this podcast. Every week they do something else to just embarrass themselves. And at the root of all of the problems is the dick. He is the root of all the problems, from the bad players he brought in, to the bad coaching, to the McAfee show in every freaking week, to the UFOs, to the Epstein list, coming back from Achilles in a month.
To the darkness retreat, everything.
Just go away. Go in a dark. Someone challenge him. Say you can't do a darkness retreat for 7 months, so that he'll do it.
Although it'll be kind of funny if Jimmy Kimmel's on the list and see how that reaction is.
In the Dick's defense, I don't think that he was saying that Jimmy Kimmel was on the list. I think what he was referring to is Jimmy Kimmel's political people that he follows being on the list. But it doesn't matter either way. Just shut your mouth. Just stop talking. Just go away. You've played 4 plays for us. Go away. So I can't break down that stupid game. They lost. They suck. Whatever. Season's over. Great. I don't care.
The most interesting thing for me out of that game was when they said that Damar Hamlin is a higher favorite to win comeback player of the year than Joe Flacco. And so I started looking at it because I haven't really followed Damar Hamlin this year much at all. So I look at it. Damar Hamlin has literally two stats this year. He has 2 tackles. And then he also has 2 penalties. So he has the same amount of penalties as he does tackles this year. So he's really going to get the comeback player of the year for the sole accomplishment of not dying.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when you break it down, that's what it is. He's alive. So he's the comeback player of the year. Joe Flacco's having one of the most, I guess he had one of the best rebounds of any player that age in that point in his career. And Damar Hamlin might get it just for not dying last year. And I hate to be that blunt about it, but that's basically what it is.
Flacco's leading his team to a playoff wild card spot. You name it, right?
Yeah. He didn't come in there and just like manage a great team to the playoffs, a la like a Hostetler back in the day. This guy has made them better. He's flinging it all over the place. This is such a no-brainer for comeback player of the year. I can't believe that we have to go back. We have to go back there.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, this guy was cast off from the worst quarterback team in the history of the NFL. Tried to play for the Jets, and they told him no thanks. And he is throwing touchdowns all over the place and had won 5 straight. And his team. Do you think they could go all the way? I mean, you've seen this team play.
I know
they got a great defense. If he can keep that up, who's to say they can't win?
Well, and they weren't in a playoff position when he took over. Now they are.
Yeah.
So
Damar Hamlin, it's like the equivalent of like comeback mascot of the year. Like Poe would obviously if they had comeback mascot of the year, Poe wins. Who's not? How is that not a unanimous vote? Like the guy, like you shouldn't go down as a mascot, but he did. It's the same thing as like Hamlin. Well, the guy shouldn't. No one's almost ever died on a football field. At least I don't think so. I don't know. Probably that's again we're getting a little into crossing the line here, perhaps on a but but like the hell with it at this point. We're allowed to be angry. Hell, but it's like Poe coming back. What's it? It's like, well, what did he really do?
I mean, shouldn't comeback player of the year, shouldn't that mean that you've come back to the game of football and raised your level of play back up to where someone didn't think was, or to where anybody thought was possible? Stat wise, not just being there. Yeah, it's a fact that probably nobody thought he would be on a football field this year. That's true. But once you get if the guy had 6 interceptions and was Darrelle Revis out there right now, he might be like, hey, I mean, that's a pretty impressive thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Geno Smith was the epitome of the right call for comeback player.
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Right? Someone like that,
yes,
perfect for that. This one makes even if he played every game, which I don't think he did. I think he was a healthy scratch for like 15 games or 10 games or something.
I don't even know.
Well, he literally cost his team a game with one of his penalties. So it's like,
that's right. He did.
I don't.
Although, I tell you what, I have a feeling he may have done a better job of tackling Nakua than Adoree Jackson did on that 80-yard like smash and grab or whatever the hell that was. Or, I mean,
what's the bigger insult on that play? So not only does Adoree Jackson give up that play by going for the strip, but he doesn't even push him out of bounds. Belton does, and then they go, Adoree Jackson saves a touchdown. Wait a minute. He almost caused a touchdown, not saved a touchdown. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Jackson saves a touchdown.
That's how bad that crew was.
After almost giving it up, someone else saved it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I rewound that play a couple times. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Jackson, as you're watching that play, it's just like it's like a little one of those 8-yard outs. You're like, all right, whatever, third, second, I forget what down it was, but it was a 14-10 game at that point.
Yeah.
And Adoree Jackson, you see this way too often in this league, guys, where guys, no one's tackling. They're doing any. I don't know what the hell this league. We could talk about it till we're blue in the face, guys, with the tackling and the non-tackling, I should say, and just the missed assignments and everything else. It's just the football. It's at an all-time bad. Just bad.
Well, I don't remember what game it was in. I don't think it was in one of the college games. But did you guys see the blitzer come off the edge and like try to two forearm hit the quarterback, and the quarterback rolls out for him and makes a huge play? Oh, I wish I meant to make a note of that when I saw it, because the announcers did pick up on that. They're like, oh, he's going to have nightmares about that. But it was one of those plays. There's a big scrum in the middle of the field, and the quarterback's trying to find a way out. Mm-hmm. And this blitzer comes in unblocked on the end and just hits him with his two forearms.
It was like, so Gunnar Olszewski was named Special Teams Player of the Week for his punt return, but that was one of the things they did to him. They tried to shoulder block him. He spun off of it and then just runs for the touchdown. It's like no one wants to wrap up and tackle anymore.
No, tackle somebody.
Nah. Well, was it the Lion-Cowboy game? I'm going back to Saturday night again. I'm trying to remember. I think it was on Dak. Where someone came clean. You know which one, right, Mike? Someone comes clean.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
Is that the one you're talking about? Okay.
Yep.
And he just gives he has Dak Prescott just lined up in his sights, and he just kind of forearms him. He just goes right by him. It was because it was Aikman. It was Aikman on the broadcast was saying I don't know what that was.
That was the 98-yard touchdown to Lamb.
Yeah. That was the bomb. That was the play. Yeah.
Yep.
Unless there was another one. It might have been another one, but that.
No, I'm pretty sure that was it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that game had a lot going on. We opened up with Dan Campbell's press conference at the end. And here's the thing here's what bothers me about that last sequence. First off, that the Lions score a touchdown and they're celebrating, and it's literally about a minute after they celebrate that a flag ends up being on the ground. And then after the call is made, you can see Campbell just incensed. And yet, the talking heads on the broadcast are basically saying the refs made the right call.
Yeah. And
no one really goes back on that stance. And then the next day, the NFL announces that they're going to punish this crew and take away any playoff responsibilities. By the way, this is the same crew that did the Eagles Miami game, where the Miami Dolphins had 0 penalties, or had 11 penalties, and the Eagles had 0 penalties. So, you have to say to yourself, if that crew's being pulled, they wouldn't be getting pulled if this was considered to be, a bang up job. Oh, look at them. They're following the letter of the law. They made the right call. No, they're pulling them because they made the incorrect call. And there's video showing that number 68's the one that reported, not 70, and so forth. And Campbell basically goes into that. And so they have a right to be upset, because this call literally changes the seedings of the NFC.
It changes the whole the whole outlook of the playoffs in the NFC. I mean, it's a big call. The thing, if they can relegate an officiating crew, which they said they were going to do, but now they have another big game this week. I saw that.
They're doing the Steelers Ravens.
Yeah,
they are.
Shouldn't they relegate the announcers? That's what I would like to see. Because, that official in the booth for that game was like, no, he didn't report. And even if he did, he's not covered up on the line of scrimmage. Well, I'm watching the game. The guy's covered up. I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, there were 3 penalties on that play. That shouldn't have counted anyway.
I want to know, were they buzzed down from somewhere to get this information? Because why did they allow it? Everyone's signaling touchdown. Lions are celebrating. They're on the sidelines. We're waiting to look for the extra point, and all of a sudden you see the officials gathered in a flag on the ground. But the flag didn't come out till 30 seconds, minute
somebody
later.
Said 39 seconds or something. 39 seconds after the touchdown catch. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man, that's just inexcusable, unacceptable.
Now, the
That's
one
awful.
thing that gave me pause on this, I haven't heard anyone talk about this yet. Excuse me, was they had the field mic from the official, and he said 70 has reported eligible. Now, shouldn't have somebody have said no?
Well,
Mm.
someone
is
did
there
bring
more
that
to
up.
That story?
No, that is correct. But what they said, the reason Campbell didn't say something because that it would given away what the play was. So they probably thought, let's hope we just get away with this, and he just got the number wrong. Because if they say no, you got the wrong guy, then Dallas is going to know what their play was going to be.
Right.
Yep. So
Yeah.
they already screwed him by
Correct.
by announcing the wrong
So
number.
they were like kind of like when they didn't throw the flags initially, they probably thought, well, great, we got away with it. He just called the wrong number, and then it came out. But I kind of understand why they didn't say something.
Yeah, I get that. It's almost like at that point you got to call another play.
Yep.
This will be deja vu for Mike, but I uttered the same phrase I did in that Giants 49ers game. This is a correctable error. They could go back to this and award the game to the Lions.
I actually saw that online this time, Scott. Some writers had picked that up, that this was now my only problem with that would be, of course, that there were still 20 some seconds left of the game and stranger things have happened. But to your point too, Scott, they could have brought the teams back out and played the last 25 seconds.
Well, Scott was thinking they would do that like days later, if I remember.
So both teams could travel to the playoff venue.
Yeah.
The Giants, they'd play the snap before the game, and like the winner plays after that.
Yeah,
I was out of my mind.
You were out of your mind for a good week.
But
on that one.
we got a written apology though, didn't the right? The NFL sent a written apology to the Giants. So I don't know about you guys. That made me feel a lot better. I was able to get over it immediately after that.
I heard they took that and put it in the trophy case with the other parties. So
we got a letter of apology, and Scott Green, the guy who made the call, was promoted to referee the next year. So that's
yeah.
The other thing about that sequence, and we touched upon it in the opening, and Campbell was asked about it. Guys, once you get the 5-yard penalty, you got to kick it. You go to overtime.
Absolutely.
And for the rationale being that he just wanted to get the game over, didn't want to subject his players to injury. That's a cop out. I'm sorry.
Bullshit. Come on. If they win that game, they're probably the 2 seed and get to host Dallas, and you're worried about an injury. Are you kidding me? No. That's a cop out. That is not the case, and agree 100%. The fact that he didn't kick it from the 7-yard line, give me a break.
That was a coach on tilt. I don't know that I've ever actually seen that before, but that was a coach on tilt. There's no doubt about it in my mind. It's, we get on these coaches for playing the analytics these days, right? And the one reason I like Dan Campbell is because he just does these things. They're not analytically driven. Like I love the call to go for 2. I don't know what the analytics say in that case, but I loved it. I thought it was awesome. But then after the penalty, as you guys alluded to, you just kick the extra point,
Right.
And everyone loves the fake punt, from your own 29 or wherever it was. If that doesn't work, that game's over in the first half. That is those things. I mean, there's no doubt that guy coaches with brass balls, and it's not, he's not the analytics guy. He's not the guy who goes to the press conference afterwards and says, "Oh, the analytics were on my side there." A lot of times they're not with that guy, but in that case, man, I firmly believe if Dan Campbell had punted and kicked field goals in that game, the Lions would have won it.
How did you fix? Unless, of course, they had Tyrod Taylor on their team.
Yeah, well,
trying to execute a 2-point conversion. Yeah, you could call the right play, have the right personnel, execute it perfectly, and then you have Tyrod Taylor trying to just shove a ball.
What was that? What was he could have run it? He could have just thrown he could have just shovel passed it to Barkley if he wanted to. Instead, I don't know. It was like almost like a half, like I'm gonna throw it, I'm not gonna throw it. It just sort of slips out of his hand.
Have you ever seen a football be any further from where it's supposed to be with like a 2, like from 2 yards away? Like, guys, I mean, we can do that right now. Just run outside in the dark and just, I'm pretty sure I can just shovel a football to one of you guys 2 yards away and with more accuracy than that.
Yeah, Cardone, I think we could go 10 for 10.
Probably. Yeah.
I think we could do that.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm easily bet at least a hot dog with chili on that, for that we can go 10 for 10. Yeah.
He could have done anything else. Like Scott said, run it, throw it underhand. That's just it's 2 points.
Just
once they broke out and everything's wide open, it's like, pick your way to take your 2. And Tyra just like, nah.
I'd love to know what the analytics actually say about that too, because at that point there's still 3.5 minutes left. We didn't have any timeouts, I don't think. So you score the touchdown. Why not tie the game? And if your defense makes a stand, I mean, because even if you get the 2-pointer, the Rams have a ton of time to come down and score again, and then you got to go back and score on your own. I don't know what the analytics would say about that. I realize he did it because the penalty made it, a yard closer. But at that point, we already made the extra point.
Yeah. I don't know. When you're 5 and 10 or whatever, I was okay with the decision to go for 2. You know how I feel about these 2-point conversions, but in that case, I was like, yeah, what the hell? Who cares? And then to not pick it up, I was just laughing. I don't know about you guys, but I was just, I gave one of those like, just class. I go, there's the New York Giants. There they
and
are.
Then to have a chance again at the end to win, and we lose it again. It's like this team can't get out of its own way.
Yeah. I hate the expression they don't know how to win, but if there's a team that does not know how to win, it's this Giant team right now. Don't know how to win.
Bears.
So there was a lot going on in the league this week. One of the funnier things for me, just because of the way it's turned so quickly, guys, there's trouble in Philly right now. AJ Brown is going off on he's basically throwing Hurts, Devonta Smith, and the play calling under the bus, and there's people legitimately talking about having Sirianni fired if he doesn't win a playoff game this year. You're going from a guy who just, 3 weeks ago in the tunnel in Kansas City, like, fuck you, I don't hear anything now, and everyone loving the Eagles brand of football to this guy could be out of a job. And we've talked about him being a douche, but being a douche, he's still going to be in the playoffs 2 years in a row. And people want him gone. You can't satisfy Philly fans, I don't think.
No, there's no way this guy's job should be in jeopardy. That shouldn't even cross your mind. It just shouldn't. As far as the other stuff with the AJ Brown and some other stuff, they're looking like I couldn't believe it, because when I saw that was a 21-6, I believe at half, and it was like, the Eagles, it's like, it's the Cardinals at home. They'll even though when the Cardinals even started to make it close, I'm like, I gave Mike's, we're fine. I'm like, they're fine. They're fine.
Cardinals aren't beating the Eagles. Everyone relax.
Exactly. I'm like, calm down, everybody. I'm like, the Eagles are fine, but I was gladly mistaken, whatever about that one, because kudos to the Cardinals for winning a great road game. Kyler Murray, I watched a lot of that. I had Red Zone on quite a bit. I was flipping around, but man, they're a different team with Kyler Murray back there. That was one of those games. I think we've talked about it, guys, on this pod. When, again, that's a classic example in the NFL. When you just play with fervor and just energy, you can, and then all of a sudden, when you have that, when you cross the line in mid-game, holy shit, we can win this game. We can beat these guys. And you saw that with the Cardinals in that particular game. Yeah. And you saw it on the flip side. You saw the Eagles, their body language, guys. I don't know how much you were watching of it, but their body language was like, holy shit, we're going to lose this game. And it just happened. It's crazy.
You can run on the Eagles. I mean, you guys play them this weekend. They should just hand it to Barkley 50 times, like the Patriots did against the Bills a couple of years ago. And because James Conner looked like Barry Sanders out there.
He did.
So that team can be beaten on the ground for sure.
Oh yeah.
The lesson in this, I guess, is, I mean, these douchey coaches, it's fine, but you got to win.
Mm-hmm.
You got to win, right?
Yep.
Novak, Rex Ryan, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yes. The second it goes
Arrogant.
south, you're getting the fingers pointed at you immediately. The second it goes south.
Yep.
So you have very little room to make any mistakes.
And one thing I found really funny was, they run one of the commercials. I don't even know who sponsors it, but it's like the electrifying moment of the week. And they showed the 99-yard interception returned by the Eagles. And at the end of the commercial, they actually go, and the Eagles cruise to a victory. Like, what? No.
Really?
They didn't cruise to a victory. They lost. Another thing that's been going on all year, and I posted this to Twitter, but Saquon Barkley last week was fined $21,000 for a normal off tackle run where he lowers his shoulder at the end of the run, and they deem that he drove his head into the defender. So we've seen now, like, there's been like 5 running backs that have been fined insane amounts for just a regular running play. And if you watch this play, it's not like he hurts the defender. It's not like the defender goes down. It just looks like a regular tackle. When they showed the play, I was like, well, you got fined $21,000. It's not even $21,000. It's like $21,832. Like, why not just make it an even amount if it's a fine? I don't get it.
What is the running back supposed to do? I mean,
Exactly.
that's, in my mind, that's an instinctive way to protect yourself. I don't know. That one makes no sense to me, that you're getting an offensive player with the ball is getting fined.
The funny thing about that is, when they first put the rule in, they were like, well, it's not just the defender that can hit with the crown of the helmet. We'll flag the offensive player too. I've seen it maybe 3 times that's ever been flagged. Maybe. But now they're not flagging it. They just go back afterwards and they dole out these fines. It's like, well, when's the last time you ever flagged a running back for lowering his head down, jamming it in someone's helmet?
Something like that, when you're like, is Barkley, it's kind of like, I look at it this way, guys. Like, if you get a speeding ticket, like, and you get a fine, that's gonna definitely make you think about it the next time you're driving down the road. Like, oh shit, let me slow down, and it changes your behavior, at least for a little while. Then maybe you get caught again, kind of thing. But like, so the next time Barkley has that same exact play, is he gonna remember that he got fined and like, oh shit, let me not lower my head? What's it gonna stop? Like that particular fine, what's it gonna do? Is it going to do? It's not going to do anything.
No. Again, is there a lot of players getting hurt that way? Why is that fine there? Why are we even talking about it? It's another. Who's that supposed to protect? Is that to protect the running back? I don't get why that. I don't get why that's there. Also, I never played running back. I know it surprises some people, but I do know that you are trained from Pee-wee to run low, and who's the running back?
Eddie George used to run like that. People would be like, "Oh, Eddie George has to get lower." Remember?
Eric Dickerson ran kind of high.
Eric Dickerson did, yeah.
Eric Dickerson was, yeah.
But that's just completely contrary to the way these guys have learned the game and everything. Now, I think that's a different story, as Novak said. When you're a running back, that's almost more of I'm trying to get a yard. I'm not. It's not about punishing somebody, although it can be. I know Brandon Jacobs into Charles Woodson there a couple years ago, but with a defensive player, it's a little bit different when you come screaming in and lead with the crown of your helmet. I can see why they want to get rid of that. You're turning yourself into a human missile. I don't think that's what a running back between the tackles is doing at all.
No. And here in Carolina this week, actually it happened in Jacksonville, but it trickled down to Carolina. We got David Tepper firing drinks into the crowd when he's upset at the Panthers losing yet another game. So I think Tepper's been in the news more than the Panthers have been lately.
Yeah, I think the Panthers for me have replaced the Lions and the Browns, where I can say, well, at least we're not them, right? Because I'm a Jets fan, but that's better than being a Panther. That organization is what a pile of shit that place is. Yeah. A complete dumpster fire, from draft choices to management to stadium to terrible, not a great fan base. The whole 9 yards. What a dumpster fire the Carolina Panthers are.
I was thinking if that was Met Death, it should be the other way around. When they were giving out free medium Pepsis to all the Giant season ticket holders, well, shit, we should be dumping them on Mara.
That's awesome. That's a good point.
Imagine, you get the free medium Pepsi and Mara's throwing it in your face on top of it.
Yeah.
Talk about insult to injury.
The best part about that video is the GM is standing there right next to Tepper, and the look on his face, he's sort of like, what just happened here? And what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to react?
Was I supposed to fine him right now? How does that work?
This guy's a loose cannon, Tepper. I mean, he's unhinged.
Did they say what provoked him? Did they say what they were yelling at him?
I don't think it was the fan that provoked him. I think it was just the fact that they lost, and I think it was right at the end of the game, or it was a point when he realized they were going to lose. Now, interesting enough, he finally made a statement just today, but in that statement, he does not say anything about taking responsibility. He says, I should have relied on the security personnel to handle the situation. but he doesn't say what the situation was, nor does he say I shouldn't have done it. He just doesn't apologize.
I think his insinuation there is that some people were talking shit to him, which if they were, that's awesome, by the way, talking shit to the other team's owner from the stands.
Especially the Jaguars fans. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But, when he threw, if you see it, when he threw the drink out there, like they all turned around to react to that. Like they were not facing him when he threw the drink at him. There was at least 2 people in the box with him with Jaguar hats on, by the way, which confused me when I was watching the video. The Panthers can't even get Panther fans in the fucking owner's box at the game. Even the owner's box seats are taken by fans of the other team. I don't.
Owner's box.
Maybe he took offense at all the constant Duval.
If he came out and said that's why, I think everyone would be like, well, all right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
You made me think of that scene in A Naked Gun, Mike, where like, remember the Queen was at the Angels game and like there's like royalty seat like chairs there. And there's a couple of guys hanging out with their feet up, like, dude, you're in the wrong seat. Like, move it down. Like a couple punks sitting there like smoking a cigarette. Like,
You are right though, Mike. When I saw the video, like if someone was in a confrontation with him, he'd probably be staring at him, pointing a finger, and get the drink flung at him. No, the drink comes flying out, and all these guys are like, "What the fuck was that?" They look back.
Yeah.
So we actually do have a game of particular note this week because in the AFC South right now, you have an interesting situation. Speaking of the Jaguars, if the Jaguars win their game, they're in. If they lose, they have to have a ton happen for them to make the playoffs. But the other game is between the Colts and the Texans. And regardless of what the Jaguars do, the winner of that Colts-Texan game is at minimum a wild card team. They now, if Jacksonville loses, that winner of that game becomes the winner of the AFC South. But at the very, very minimum, one of them is going to the playoffs based on that game, winning that game. So that is truly a play-in game. I think it might be the only one that's like that. Some of them have seeding implications this week, but that will be an interesting game. Interesting to see if CJ Stroud can make it to the playoffs, and if he can't, then we're talking about a mediocre Colts team led by Gardner Minshew that might make the playoffs.
Gardner Minshew.
They might lock up the game on Peacock by now.
Oh, you just beat me to it. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, if the Colts win, lock it in at the Peacock game.
The Peacock game. Is that what we're calling it? That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, the Peacock's going to deprive a segment of the football population the ability to view a playoff game this year, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, I don't know if I can go any more ballistic about that this week than I did last week, but.
So that's got it's usually that piece of crap game is always, and we're talking about Novak's super wild card weekend, right? Is that where?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I've killed that one
it's always the AFC like 7 seed on Saturday afternoon, or it's usually like Saturday at 4, whatever the first game of super wild card weekend is.
Yeah.
It's always the Jags or the Clippers or it's right or the Browns. It's one of those teams. Yeah.
You get into the third quarter of that game, Cardone, you're like, wait, this is a playoff game. It's like, oh my god! Like you realize right halfway through, like, oh my god, the winner of this
oh my god,
advances.
this is a wild card game. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, when the Bengals made the Super Bowl, their opening game was against the Raiders, and really they should have lost that game. And it was a pretty bad game, and they had a couple really favorable calls go their way that shouldn't have. So they ended up winning that game and then ended up, propelling themselves into the Super Bowl. But that was one of those games on Super Wild Card Weekend. I remember I was at a restaurant. It's on in the background. I'm just sort of looking up every now and then. And it was like, I think it was the middle of the day that one was on too. 4 o'clock or something like that, 3:30.
I can't see. I mean, can you think of one of these middling, crappy teams that get in that can go on a run? I don't see a chance of anyone.
No.
Yeah.
Unless the Bills are like a 6 seed or something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
But I think they're different. Yeah, I think we don't know. We're not saying the names of the teams, but the ones we're talking about. We're talking about the Colts or the Steelers or the Falcons, the Buccaneers, the Saints, like these middling sort of very average, below average kind of crappy teams that get into super wild card weekend. None of them are going on a run.
No,
It doesn't seem. I mean, the playoffs have finally reached oversaturated where there are actually not very good teams in there.
Yeah, we're finally at that point.
Yeah.
Because football spans so many days, I already brought up one commercial that I saw. Another commercial piqued my interest, and it was also because they had The Rock on during the pregame this week to go and talk to Jimmy Johnson and salute him for being in the Ring of Honor. So apparently in Dallas, you make the Hall of Fame before you get in the Ring of Honor, which is what happened. But The Rock was talking to Jimmy Johnson. I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. They have The Rock there to talk about Jimmy Johnson. He wasn't there to talk about Jimmy Johnson. He was there to talk about the commercial we've now seen like 50 times over the weekend where the USFL and the XFL are merging. And guys, they're making this out like, I keep hearing spring football will be here for years. What I liked about this merger is that instead of two entities folding, you're only going to have one fold now.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. Was it the UFL?
I love that line. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Terrible.
I didn't even hear about this announcement. Yeah.
They don't understand the premise. The original USFL had some interest because they actually had good players. They got some of the top players and brought it to that league. No one's going to want to watch a bunch of rejects from, guys that couldn't start at Division I or middling players at Division II, Division III playing there. You just don't have the interest. In May, is someone really going to sit down and watch a football game with any sort of fervor, as Cardone would put it?
But I do love the fans who do, though. They show those games, and there's one guy with the jersey on who's just going nuts at one of these games. Like the team was just invented 15 minutes ago, and he's out. He's got the brown and white.
Scott, you're right. The USFL was good because the product of the NFL back then was good.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about we complain all the time about the product is terrible right now. So how bad is a spring football league going to be?
That much worse.
That much worse. So because I know back in those days when the USFL was around, I was almost in tears when the season was over. I can't wait for this thing to be over at this point. I want golf to start. I'm ready. Bring it on. Got to sit through Super Wildcard Weekend. Let's go. Done.
Do they get their real names on the back in this league, or is it going to be he hate me and other guys?
That was pretty great, though. I mean, the XFL. I mean,
I just don't understand how these leagues the NFL keeps trying to pump up, how they can't last for more than a year. I mean, it's the NFL, it's football. You would think it could be, falsely held up for a couple of years. I mean, look at the WNBA. This doesn't have more fans than, that is an unviable league that the NBA floats. And it's surprising to me that the NFL hasn't had one of those yet. And maybe this is it.
Well, now there's the women's NHL that just started last weekend.
The women's NHL?
Yes.
I might actually watch that.
That might be on ice by mid-March.
No pun intended.
Where am I that I'm not even hearing any of this stuff?
I know.
There's a women's NHL?
Yeah.
When did they?
I don't know if it's the women's NHL, but it is a women's pro hockey league now that I saw.
I know there was a Winter Classic on New Year's Day, but yeah.
Will they allow like Jaromir Jagr to come in as like Jenny Jagr with a wig and play?
Yeah. Why not?
Uh-oh. Are we going down this road? What's happening?
No, just throw that out there. That's it.
Wait a minute. This thing. So it's called the Premier Hockey Federation. It's not new.
Oh, it's not.
It's not.
They showed on ESPN the inaugural women's hockey league thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a new location or something, but they made a big deal of it. I don't know.
No, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. This is a women's league. The Boston Pride actually have 3 titles.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's a new one. Maybe I was dreaming this. I don't know. It's been a long time since we've been on.
No, I think you're right. There's news about it here. I'm just not quick enough to. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, you got any pet peeves this week?
Actually, I do not. I don't have one queued up, but I will defer to the end. to see if I can come up with one. I was dealing with something right up until we kicked off tonight, so I didn't have time to put one together.
All right, I'll go to Novak.
I told you guys what I was gonna have my pet peeve about, and unfortunately, the dick has now affected our podcast because it takes away from what my pet peeve was gonna be. My pet peeve was gonna be the oversaturation and overuse and this Pat McAfee. I mean, I like McAfee. I did, and I really liked his show. I liked him on College Game Day. Now he's doing an on the sideline camera view on ESPN2 for the Rose Bowl. Like, I just and they're trying to do this. They're trying to like, well, the Manning cast worked. Why don't we put Pat McAfee down at the end zone with 5 of his stupid cronies talking about the game, and we'll televise that. Like, enough. Like, why don't we put him in this?
Let's bring back the Booger Mobile on the sidelines and put McAfee in that thing. Why don't we just do that?
Seriously.
Remember the Booger Mobile? The goddamn thing. I think there was a guy driving it, right? It looked like a little forklift thing that Booger was just bouncing and bobbing up and down on.
Why don't we just have him put a hover pack on and hover over the game and do it and have a camera on his head and let him, like, with this guy and honestly, the dick takes away from this pet peeve because I had to mention him before. I'm tired of him because as a Jet fan. Can he not have him on every week making stupid statements? And I said it earlier, so I'm not going to say it again. I'm over Pat McAfee. They're overdoing it with this guy. I used to like him. I kind of do like his on College Game Day, but he's my pet peeve.
I don't like caricatures. Like at least once in a while, sprinkle in a shirt with sleeves. Like is that like, how does that become your thing? Like, I'm the guy who doesn't have sleeves on, you know? It's like, what does that do for you? Just wear fucking sleeves. You're a punter. You couldn't go out there shirtless when you're punting.
He's become a basically a character, and like he's a guy. He's a wrestler in the WWF. Like that's like when they wore a costume, like that was their costume, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
And some tool is going to retire from the NFL and try to be the new Pat McAfee and wear tank tops and do a podcast. And they're going to put him in the end zone or on the goalpost or something doing the same thing. It's going to happen. Just like with Tony Romo, and Greg Olsen tries to act like Tony Romo. These guys get this great idea and then they just kill it.
McAfee doesn't realize, dude, you look like a redneck. You just look like a redneck. He does.
One thing we didn't talk about was the end of that Chiefs-Bengals game. So, I mean, there's a little bit of shady officiating in that one. They called a intentional grounding on Browning that looked like just a regular pass that went off to the sideline that wasn't completed. But Romo in that game was so eager to get Mahomes propped up that Mahomes through most of that fourth quarter looked terrible. He's throwing these balls that just are dying. They're going to the receiver's feet. They're not going anywhere. And then he completes one, and Romo goes, "Oh, there's Mahomes doing Mahomey things." And it's like, well, you weren't saying anything when he's missing guys left and right. You're not going, Mahomes looks off today, because I was thinking that. I was thinking there's something wrong with Patrick Mahomes because he doesn't look very good right now.
But they kicked field goals and won the game, so
they did kick field goals and won the game.
How about that? Now that those two things tie into each other a little bit.
Kicking field goals, yeah.
The Pat McAfee thing, and the announcers, just ignoring that Mahomes is playing shitty. Pat McAfee got popular because on his podcast he said things like we say. The officiating sucks. What's going on with the coaching in this league?
Yep.
Everyone's pumping this player up. I don't see it. I don't get it. That's how he became popular. But now he's joined the machine now.
Yeah.
Yep.
He got popular and he's just joined the machine. He's just another one of these guys now. And he's just tank tops and I'm being loud. And that's my thing. And the whole reason I'm here is gone now because I can't say the things that got me here because I can't say them on this broadcast. So he's useless now.
He had to basically apologize profusely about what Rodgers said today, because I think he wants to protect himself from legal issues.
Yeah.
I would just say I'd like to do my pet peeve over and say it the way Mike just said it, because it was a hell of a lot better than I said it. I went on some stupid rant and he said it very eloquently. But yes, he said it the right way. That's what I was trying to say, but didn't do it well.
And his podcast has suffered from it too, because he can't say that stuff and then go sit next to these guys and,
Totally.
Well, and one of the things we've been saying all along too about the field goals. Teams, why aren't you kicking field goals? And we saw evidence of a game where the Kansas City Chiefs won this game kicking field goals, and they took the points when they had the chance to take the points. Yep, and when the Bengals passed up field goals, they lost the chance to get the points and never got a chance to get them back.
Make field goals, kick extra points, do those things. Those points do count. Like coaches, they count.
Cardone, did Booger come out and say that the Kansas City Chiefs deserve to lose that game because they kicked field goals?
He might have. As soon as Booger comes on my screen, I immediately turn the channel. So I don't know. He may have said it, and I wasn't there to listen to it. Who knows?
He's got the cherry picker on the sideline, like you were saying.
Yeah. It's a 6,000-pound scissor lift. He's driving it right the sideline.
Again, every time that vehicle, I think we talked about it on the pod. Like, man, you're in the first couple rows behind it, thing. Like, what the fuck? Get that fucking thing out of the way, Booger! I can't see a field.
Wouldn't it have been great if that thing like malfunctioned like an amusement park ride and he starts flying all over the place?
Scissor lift.
Cardone, you got a pet peeve?
Yeah, I got a quick one. I'm going to continue my trend of kind of like a little two-part pet peeve here. I can't think of a specific game where this occurred, guys, because it happens all over the place. When you're watching Red Zone and you're watching the highlights, which I like to do on Sunday night after the games, I love to stay on the NFL Network where they do every touchdown from every game, but they show they show really good highlights. So as I'm flipping around and watching the Red Zone on Sunday, I can't tell you how many times, guys, I saw it's mostly after like a sack, when a defensive lineman gets a sack, and what he doesn't realize is that he actually caused a strip sack fumble, but he's so busy. I'm going to actually stand up. He's so busy like doing this, dancing around and doing it. There's a goddamn football rolling around on the ground, and it's like he doesn't even realize it, nor does he even care, it seems like. I'm so tired of it. And this happens sometimes on punts or even on any kind of play where a defender makes a big hit, doesn't realize he even created a fumble. He's there doing dancing. And there's guys, two things. I'm sick and tired of looking at defensive linemen do a dance and a gyrate while the ball's on the ground that they don't even realize it's there. And second, furthermore, Varnicket, when the ball is on the ground, I can't stand these guys who don't know how to fall on a fumble. We've talked about that a million times. I'm tired of seeing the defender guy, the defensive back at that point, or somebody running, leaning over, kicking the ball, and while he's trying to pick it up, just fall on the ball. I've talked about that one before, but you especially see it after the strip sack fumble. But no, the pet peeve is just basically I'm tired of looking at 350-pound defensive lineman dancing, doing a hip gyration while there's a football on the ground. He doesn't even realize it.
That was Aiden Hutchinson did that this week, didn't he? I think that was on a
Hutchinson. I saw Mike. I'm telling you, I must have saw about 4 of them, like in a highlight reel on Red Zone and NFL Network. Where I'm serious, I saw about 3 or 4, and that goes for college. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the game. You just see balls bouncing around, and there's a defender just already running up the field trying to point. Dude, there's a ball behind you on the ground. Are you wondering why guys are falling on your feet? And I'm just tired of it.
That's such a good one.
I also had an honorable mention, but I've said this many times. So but I'm these punt returners who just simply can't catch the ball. Get someone else back there. Oh. We saw it in the. Is this happening more and more, guys? Where like the punt returner used to be the most sure-handed guy on the field, right? You never really had to. It was kind of, I don't want to say rare, but the number of fumbled, muffed, right? I should say the correct term, muff. The number of muffs that we're seeing nowadays is at an all-time high. It just goes along with just the bad football. It's all part of it. It's just all part of it.
You know, I noticed that with punt returners earlier this year too, Cardone, they're just not making good decisions back there.
Never.
Yeah. They're not calling fair catches when they should. You know, the Michigan almost lost a freaking CFP playoff game because their punt returner couldn't get his head in the game.
On the 1 yard line.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Who was it? Was it the Chiefs? Was it Kadarius? Who was the guy? Someone caught a punt in the like 4 yards deep in the end zone and brought it out. I've never seen this.
Yeah.
Did you?
I thought
is that possible? I thought it was automatically a touchback by rule. Am I saying that right? I thought I saw a guy bring a punt out. You can return a punt. It's not automatically a
think you
touchback.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
You did. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think if that was college or the pros. Though,
I
because
thought
I know I saw
You
it
guys know what I'm
too.
talking about?
And he
I
ended
was
up getting to
watching-
like the 5. You know,
He kept backpedaling and backpedaling. He catches it in the end zone and brings it out, and only got out to about the 10. I'm like, look at this jack off bringing the punt out. Like, just let it bounce. It's already in the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, they're making bad decisions. I mean they're not calling fair catches. They're trying to catch balls running full speed straight ahead.
Yes.
Anyone who's ever played softball in the outfield knows that that's damn near impossible. So it's I don't know what's going on back there. I don't know if they're just expecting those guys to make more plays, but I
that's what you see a lot, Mike. You see the guy running forward, and instead of like in the old days, guys just let it bounce and move away. Now they're actually trying. They're trying to get a fingertip on it, and they get the fingertip on it, and it just falls to the ground.
Yeah,
now
they got all the
ball.
forward momentum, so even when I muff it, they have no chance to recover it because they're 5 yards upfield.
You bring up a good point, because I actually had wanted to bring some version of this up. I see a lot of guys fair catching on like the 4-yard line.
Yeah.
But someone needs to explain to me the aerodynamics of how the ball. Wouldn't the ball land and roll into the end zone for a touchback?
Most
Unless
of
you
the
play
time.
the Giants.
And if it doesn't,
well,
you
yeah.
only lose
If it doesn't,
3
it's
yards.
going to bounce the other way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't understand why you fair catch from the 10 on in. And I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
That used to be like the biggest no-no in football, right? I mean, right, Mike? I mean, like you never fair catch it inside the 10. That was a guy would be benched for that if he did that.
Yep.
You know?
I remember back when back in the 70s, I remember my dad losing his mind about that.
Yeah. Never catch a punt as soon as especially if it goes over, once it goes over your head and you're inside the 10, absolutely get out of the way, let it bounce. Never catch a ball inside the 10. Happens all the time now, every game.
Yeah.
Well, you figure
no one says anything about it.
No.
If you fair catch it at the 4, you didn't have any chance to advance it because you're fair catching it. So you're either at the 4, or if you let the ball bounce, how worse can it get?
I think you've got like a 4% chance, 5% chance that it's going to bounce and go to the 1, right?
Yeah,
the chances
very
are
low.
it's worst case scenario, it probably land at the 4, where you're going to fair catch it anyway. More than likely, it's bouncing into the end zone.
I just thought of a pet peeve just out of nowhere. It wasn't even on my mind, but or you could have that loser who's screaming. I love the ball when the ball's slowly rolling. It looks like it's not going to make it to the end zone. And some guy just comes sliding in unnecessarily and just kicks just absolutely no body control whatsoever. Like he's falling off of a slip and slide or something, and he just down the ball. Just run down and put you know what I'm talking about, right? That's it. Yeah. So the ball's coming to a stop, and some guy's just like he just got thrown out of a moving car, and he's just rolling around back there. It's like you always see that guy screaming in, like, "Why? What are you doing? There's no one around." Like just calmly come down and tap the ball. All right, down at the 1.
So my pet peeve has to do with the fact, we always talk about the end of the year and how I remember when they went to the 17-game schedule, one of the things that they said is, well, we're going to have divisional games that last week, and it's going to be an exciting time of football. There's not going to be as many games that don't count. Guys, we've just shifted week 17 to week 18 in the schedule, basically. So this week, teams will be rolling out as quarterback Blaine Gabbert, Jeff Driscoll, Carson Wentz, Nick Mullins, Trevor Siemian, Easton Stick, Tyrod Taylor, Mason Rudolph, Jared Stidham. That's just the ones we know right now.
That's the NFL?
That's the NFL. These guys are going to be taking the field playing in the games.
I thought this was the XFL USFL merger, guys.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get that the teams are and this happens every year. We should just accept that it happens rather than act like it's not going to happen. Well, we're playing all divisional games. No, the Eagles don't care. Well, actually, the Eagles should care because they can improve their position a little bit. But Cowboys have to lose, I think, to the Redskins. But
yeah,
it's just one of those things where people don't care.
No,
you rest your players, get them ready for the playoffs. Some coaches have that mentality, and we're left with a bunch of football games. There's really two games that seem appealing this week.
Yeah, that's about it.
this whole thing is just dragging out too much. And I think even if you're a playoff team at this point, you're like, just get what are we still doing out here? What the hell is going on that we're still out here? And by the way, all the BS about player safety. Yeah, let's add another full game to the regular season. That's a good idea. That's a good way to protect your players. It's all just a bunch of crap. And moving the game, making the game 1 week later in the year is going to have us have better games. No. And then my biggest problem with 17 games, my number one problem is that it's not symmetrical. That is my biggest. That is my biggest problem.
I hate it.
Is that you can't go 500. The Giants found a way to go 500 last year or something. Some teams did, but it's just
Giants had a tie.
Yes, that's how you have to do it.
did.
You have to, you have to be what 9-9-1 now, or is it some 8-8-1 or something? But it's
true.
It doesn't make any sense. This game is contrary to everything they say they're trying to do in the NFL. They've reached a point of oversaturation. I'll leave it at that. Novak said it really well last week, is that this is enough football for me. This is more than enough. It ended 3 weeks ago. Like I said, regardless of my team's in the playoffs or not, I don't need to. This is just dragged out. It's like a slow work day. Like, it's only 3:00? Like, what the hell?
I mean, not to go back to preseason, just cut it down to one preseason game.
Yeah.
And play these 17 weeks and start the season earlier and end a little bit earlier. We shouldn't be having a regular season game on January 8th. Sorry. That's when the playoffs are. That's what it's been for our whole lives. And now we're Super Bowls. We're going to be pushing into March before you know it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I really was thinking about what Novak had said about football being on every day of the week during the holidays this week, because, you're going through New Year's, like the time for New Year's. So you got a game on Thursday, you got a game on Saturday, you got a game on Sunday, and then Sunday night was New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking. I remember last New Year's Eve, which probably was on a Monday, we were watching a college football playoff game because we were trying to see if they'd get the field goal kicked before the ball would drop.
Before midnight.
Remember fighting that? So I'm waiting for the football games to start for this New Year's Eve, and I realized, oh, no, the NFL owns Sunday, so we're not going to have any college football on New Year's Eve. We're going to wait till the next day and have it on.
They don't know what to do with the schedule. They don't.
But they come on TV and tell us it's the best schedule ever. That's something you don't have to say if it's true. Is there any team, whether you're better than the other team or not, is there any team that wants to play another team in their division twice in 3 weeks?
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
I hate it.
They really should. I mean, we've talked about how we could be AWS and make the perfect schedule. You reserve the first 3 weeks of the season for division games and the last 3 weeks of the season for division games. And you have a universal bye week, and you have everyone play. You intersperse like home and away the best you can. They just, if you really wanted to make it fair, you would do that. This is not in the realm of making it fair. This is in the realm of generating buzz and talk, I think, is what ends up happening.
It's in the realm of trying to manufacture an interesting finish and an intriguing beginning. That's what it's all about. And it's just like everything else in the NFL, it's manufactured. If fans and teams don't know right now who's going to be good at the end of the year, the NFL certainly doesn't know, and the schedule makers definitely don't know. Because you can see games on the schedule, like if you look at it now, you're like, they thought this was going to be good, and it's a dog.
Yes.
So I don't understand the who has this figured out? Every fantasy football commissioner in America has the scheduling figured out. But AWS and their supercomputer can't do it.
But they brag about doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's called gaslighting.
Yeah.
You just defined gaslighting. Yeah.
So this was not a pet peeve, but I did want to bring this up because we saw two pretty good college football games this weekend in the semifinals, and I really thought Florida State lost a chance to make a statement here. They should have done one of two things. They should have either declined a bowl invite or forced all of their starters to play in that game. They showed up to play a bowl game with basically a JV team.
Yeah.
Got blown out, and now everyone feels vindicated because now Florida State looks like they suck, and you had two decent football games in place there. Florida State had some equity. They had some support behind them. If they just said, fuck you, we're not playing in a bowl game, we should be national champions, and just declined, I would have had more respect for that than for them to put a product on the field that was uncompetitive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good
Kirby,
point. I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
I mean, when have you heard the coach of the opposing team come out and after blowing someone's doors off and saying that's got to be fixed out there?
Yeah.
That was disgusting. We've talked about it all year. It's been a thing that college football is being ruined, and this is another one of those things with the players sitting out at the end of the year, not playing in these bowl games. Because I don't think the bowl games are going anywhere. So
no,
when they go to the 12 teams, where they really should get rid of this shit like the Pop-Tart Bowl and the Mayo Bowl and all these things that I am looking more at what the mascots are doing, or a guy getting dumped with a bunch of mayonnaise, and I can't give a fuck about the teams that are actually playing in those bowls.
Yeah,
it's not even the Gator Bowl anymore. It's like what do they call it? The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, as a fan of two mid-level college football teams,
I was just going to say that, Novak. Go ahead. Yeah.
I like the lower bowls because it is a big deal for a team that's not going to get into one of these big games to have an extra game. So I'm on the opposite end on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do. But if there's a way to not have a 6-6, Indiana team in a bowl, fine, I can see that. But these second-tier schools that they live for a bowl game, I think it's a big deal.
But there's way too many of them now. There's
40,
42, 41. I think it's 41 bowls.
I think a 5-7 Minnesota team was in a bowl game, which is ridiculous.
No, they got to definitely, and it's like you said, it's not going anywhere because it's revenue and it's TV and it's all that. So if anything, the games are going to expand. Shit, why don't they just make it an even 50, 100 teams get a bowl game? Why stop? Just keep going.
Yeah,
but you're right though. Like as an App State fan, I have to look forward to those, Mexican avocado cure bowl games, which App was in, this bowl season. So, and it's kind of it's not exciting, but as they're selecting the bowls, I don't know if you did Novak. I was looking, I'm like, which one are we going to? And it's like, oh, we got the avocado bowl. All right,
all right, let's get the avocado bowl rolling.
Let's get this on. Absolutely.
Yeah,
they had a singing Pop-Tart at the Pop-Tart.
Yeah,
and then they killed it, right? And then they kill it at the end and ate it.
Yeah, there was an edible Pop-Tart that they ate.
Yeah, they put it in, like, as the game wound down, they dropped it into a toaster. And then, like, the winning team got to eat it.
Is that like the turkey leg on Thanksgiving like in Detroit and Dallas?
Yeah.
Right? Same thing. This is a Pop-Tart. Eating a Pop-Tart on live TV. Yeah.
I guess the one thing they could do immediately to kind of help, this doesn't fix all these problems, is you can't, like, just transfer when the season's over. You got to stay with the team. You know what I mean? A lot of these kids didn't play because they've already transferred somewhere in the portal.
I give Bo Nix credit. Bo Nix stuck it out. He played in a bowl game that didn't really mean anything to him.
No, these guys that play, the NFL scouts and coaches notice that. They notice that.
Yeah.
So we did get one question this week. It's from our friend Ingrid. And Cardone, you missed the pod last week. It was really a rant on officiating that we went on. We broke it down in many different levels. We talked about how to fix it. And Ingrid said that, Pat Kerwin has been advocating for years the eye in the sky for accuracy. And, we should have the most seasoned refs up in the booth for reviews in real time to make sure that happens. And she wanted our thoughts on that. We do have a system somewhat in place there. Like, I think it's Al Riveron or whatever. I think he's actually up there as the head of the replay people that's watching it in New York. But the problem I have is unlike college football, which seems to buzz up to New York a lot quicker, the NFL sort of picks and chooses when they want to look at a review. Like, if we go back to that Giants game a couple
Packers?
weeks ago against
That one?
the one where they reached out the football. Was that
Packers. It was a
was that
Monday.
the
It was a Monday
Packers?
night game against
That
Green
was the
Bay.
Packers. Yep.
So somehow they reversed that call from the eye in the sky or from above, even though there wasn't visual evidence to. They changed the call on the field, which then made it more difficult to change in replay. And you know, some of these things you just don't know when they're going to be triggered. I half think that someone called down on that last play in the Lions game 38 seconds after the fact and said, I think the wrong guy reported. And that's why the flag was thrown, and that's why they went and did that. But they never fully tell you that. In college, they'll come up and they'll say, the last play that's a completion is being under further review. You know, and then they go and they break it down. Yeah. And the college system just works so much better. The problem I have with the NFL is I almost disagree with having referees up there monitoring. I think we need to have a third party because the referees are the ones that are going to have their own guys' backs. We saw that when they implemented the bullshit pass interference review, where these guys refused to overturn calls that were obvious because they didn't want to show up their peers on the field. Yep. And I think you get a little bit of that too if you go to this eye in the sky look. So technically we have an eye in the sky, but Mike's brought this point up about like the false start and the play clock and all the sort of ambiguity that's out there. Communicate what the eye in the sky really does. Communicate what these reviews are so that we understand it better, so we're not left holding the bag and bitching. But I almost think the NFL wants it that way.
I just don't, whatever they do in college, and I don't know enough about what they do in college, but the example right off the bat I can think of, Michigan's first play of the game, they throw what appears to be an interception. The officials call it an interception. Everyone calls it interception. Within minutes, they're down there and someone says, hey, he was out of bounds, right? So then they just change it. And I don't remember if then it got looked at again. But so I'm watching that game with my wife, who doesn't watch very much college football, and she says, why doesn't the NFL do that? I mean, that just seems so easy to get that right. You know, that just,
she's right.
It's so easy to get it right. Why don't I said, I wish I could answer that question. I can't.
Yeah. The two challenges the Giants wasted early on were on plays where balls hit the turf pretty obviously under the view of replay versus the naked eye. Why do you have to waste a challenge? Why doesn't someone just buzz down and go, nah, you know, that's not a catch? Yeah. Because here's the thing. The rules sometimes work against you when they rule it's a call on the field. You know, we let the play out and then it can be changed afterwards. Well, that's great, but if I have to waste a challenge flag to change it because you guys are sticking with the play on the field, that sort of screws me.
I almost think it would be a better system to have officials on the field strictly like to spot the ball and then get out of the way and let the play run. And then someone calls down to that official and says, we had a penalty on that play. You know, the guys on the field aren't keeping up with the game and, you know, there's a lot of them, but they can't see everything. And apparently, you know, despite everyone, this is a rare case where fans and journalists and media and everybody is like after the NFL about these guys being too old. I mean, this isn't a new thing about them being too old and not being able to keep up with the game. People have been talking about that part of it for years. And it completely falls on deaf ears.
What I've seen more this year, I think, than past years is the spotting of the ball. We saw it at the end of the Giant game. Actually, Tyrod Taylor was about 2 yards further up when he started his slide. And, you know, they get so egregious about where you start your slide now. The guy moves it back and it'll look like a gigantic amount from where he started his slide. But it seems like there's several plays where you're watching with the naked eye and the guy's crossing the yellow line and they're spotting the ball a good yard back. It's almost like now they spot the ball where the knee hits rather than where the ball is at when the knee hits.
Yeah.
Like they mark where the knee is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. They've gone egregiously the other way now. We used to talk about how the ball was spotted to, you know, they used to give the extra half yard. Now it's going back the other way. They've overcorrected or compensated. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like they said, listen, spotting the ball exactly is too hard to be a science. So just spot it in the general area. And if you know it's a first down, spot it as such. If you don't think it was, spot it as such. You know, the exact line doesn't matter that much anymore.
What game was it, guys? And I'm going to forget it, but it doesn't matter. I'll just describe the play. It was a pile. It was like a 4th and 1. It was a pile up. They tried to do like a quarterback keeper. And it was one of those plays where you knew that it was not even close to getting a first down. And this is the play they decide to bring the chains out.
Yeah.
We ask for the chains all the time, like bring the damn sticks out and measure it. How do you know it's a first? And it was almost a yard short. I'm like, that's the play. You bring the freaking sticks out.
I think it was the Giants. It might have been the opener against Dallas. If not, it might have been the second game.
I don't remember.
Because
I don't
the
remember
one where we
game,
attempted the tush push.
Yeah.
It might have been the play where we lost like half of our offensive line in Bellinger to injury on the tush push.
Oh, God. I don't remember what game it was. It doesn't matter. Basically, the bottom line was the play was it was one of those quarterback keepers. It wasn't even close. He actually like lost half a yard, and they bring the chains out to measure. It's just frustrating.
You guys got anything else this week?
We didn't picks.
Oh, we did not do the pick.
Oh, right.
I forgot we had games. We didn't even preview games either.
And this is our last week, so we got to figure out what's going on here.
Oh my God.
Who are you playing?
I picked up a point this week by picking the Jersey Jets.
Now, does that count?
No.
Okay. What are our records going into the last week? So we know.
I picked the Jets last week, didn't I?
Wait, you picked
No,
the Jets. Wait a minute, the Jets did lose, right? Wait a minute.
He was talking about. He just said Jersey Jets for the.
Oh,
Jersey.
We
Never
picked
mind.
a fantasy game since you weren't here. We
got you.
We would have been afraid to do
the
it.
most exciting game of the week
Well,
was
I sent my picks in on phone on text. I had Jets and Giants losing. Yeah.
The most exciting game of the week was Mike and Scott's fantasy final.
They
were tied, literally tied, going into the Sunday night game.
Yep,
that's a good game.
And Novak needed Aaron Jones to outscore Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones outscored Justin Jefferson.
I was shocked.
Wow.
I'll get into that at my prediction. I have
I really should have docked him points because he's been a serial. He's been negative the entire year.
I did the same thing though. I did the same thing.
He uses that reverse psychology. My team sucks. We're never going to do anything.
I have a whole thing prepared when I do my jet pick on this, so don't worry, Scott. I owe you on this one.
All right, so the records are Novak 23-9, Cardone 22-10, Cost 21-11, and Mike 20-12. All one game apart.
Wow.
Which didn't change from last week because we all went 2-0.
We got the Giants Eagles. Cardone?
It's how the hell do you pick the Giants against this team? I know it. Who knows if the Eagles may find out that Dallas is winning their game. Are they stuck in their seeding, by the way, if they lose? Can they move down?
If Washington beats, if Dallas beats Washington, they're stuck.
They're stuck. Okay. Yeah. So, but it's weird, right? Dallas also plays at 4. We're all 4:25 on Sunday. So I wonder if the Eagles even find out or try to find out if Dallas is winning their game. And if they are, let's say Dallas is up big, do the Eagles pull all their starters in the second half and pull a Doug Peterson, when they did that bullshit a few years ago? But I still don't think it's going to matter. How in the world? It's impossible to pick the Giants to beat this Eagle team. We don't ever beat this franchise. So I'm certainly not going to pick them again. Give me the Eagles. Give me the Eagles winning, I don't know, 20, weird score, like 25-18. Some shit like that. Keep the trend of going with weird scores.
Mike?
Yeah, I based on the great analysis we did of this game tonight, I'm gonna go ahead.
Wait, I didn't. It's funny because on my notes I don't even have the previews. I usually write the previews down.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Well, I thought about it in the middle of the pod. And Novak, I didn't even know who the Jets were playing. I had to scroll up. I'm like, I don't even know who they're playing. Who the Jets even playing? I'm like, New England. Okay, yeah. I had no idea.
Well, that's why I got thrown off my pet peeve. It seemed like we got there awful quick. I was just like, whoa, pet peeve.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, we're still almost an hour and a half into the pod.
Yeah.
I am for no reason at all. I'm going to take the Giants to win 17-16.
Wow.
I have a reason.
He's trying to catch up.
I have a reason to pick the Giants, and it's because I think Sirianni is going to be a douche and put in I think his running back's going to end up being a a lineman or something, and he's just gonna fucking toy with us after he finds out that Dallas is winning by 30 at halftime. So I have the Giants winning this game, and I have the Giants putting pride into the game like they have the last several weeks, even though they've fallen short a couple times, and the Giants are going to win 24-20. And when I say Sirianni, by the way, my phones go nuts like I'm saying Siri.
I can't pick the Giants here. I'll just go a quick one, 24-10 Eagles.
All right, we got the Jets Patriots.
So my shtick on this was going to be I used up my pandering equity in the fantasy football league. So I'm going into 24 being positive about my Jets. And so I can't do this. My team sucks pitch on this game. The Jets are awesome. Okay, this defense is 85 Bears-like. Trevor Siemian can spin the ball. They own the Patriots. They're gonna knock Belichick out, and in their last game, Belichick is gonna walk off that field a loser to my New York Jets, 38 to Dick.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Mike?
Yeah, I think right now the Jets are better than the Patriots. I just do. I think the Jets win. I think the Jets win this game, and I think they win it. I got an idea of a score. Let's do 12-10.
12-10.
Are we talking 4 Zerline field goals? Because that does win games.
Yeah, it wins games.
Cardone?
Yeah, it's funny. Before you guys even started, like I said, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, what the hell? I haven't picked the Jets in a while, but I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll pick the Jets. So why not? I guess I'm rolling with Gang Green as well. So give me the Jets. This is gonna be an ugly kind of game. I don't know, like 16-13 Jets.
I was not expecting to be a lone wolf on this one because I just don't see Bill Belichick walking off the field in his last game as a Patriot a loser, and I think this will be his last game as a Patriot. So I have the Patriots winning in Patriots fashion, 9-6.
Oh,
I'll just add that the football gods owe me this one. Just give me this one.
Just give me this.
Just
one.
something. Look, the year I've gone through. Just give me this one. Can I just beat the Patriots? So I'll end with that.
Yeah. So I don't think I can take the lead, but I wasn't angling there anyway. I was going to pick the Patriots anyway because I just think the Patriots are going to. I can't see Bill Belichick walking off a field, losing his last game as a Patriot coach.
Good
So
point.
next year when we do picks, the leader has to go first, and the guy in last should go last to make the pick. I was trying to do whatever I thought cost wouldn't. That's I just want to catch cost.
that's great.
So I should have known he'd pick the Giants. So I should have went Eagles, but yeah.
I was actually tempted to pick the Giants, but I just
now.
couldn't do it. I couldn't.
I could see Sirianni just thumbing his nose, like Dallas is up 3 touchdowns at half, and I could see him pulling a Doug Peterson. And if he gets fired, he's adding ammo to the flame. I still can't believe that they're talking about firing Nick Sirianni. As much as I hate the guy, I think the guy is a complete douchebag. We've talked about this before.
He's not getting fired.
And Mike did make a good point that we've all made. When you're an asshole, you have a much shorter leash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That shit gets old fast.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be back next week to recap the last season. Oh,
I do have a couple of housekeeping notes.
Oh, housekeeping.
Yeah, I made since I didn't participate in the pet peeves this week, although I did get bitchy at all yours, so I guess that should count, Lo. It should count. But I wanted to bring up that indeed Howie Schwab is still alive. Scott did put him in the grave a little bit too early. So Howie Schwab he's listed here as an American television producer, and he's 63 years old. So
did he have like a health scare or something? Or I just thought he died.
I'm just gonna guess yes, but but no, he's still with us. Schwab is still with us.
Thank God for that.
I buried the Schwab.
Yeah, I don't know why you buried the Schwab. Also, Novak's Hockey League is the Professional Women's Hockey League, which starts with 6 teams.
There you go.
In
PWHL?
January of this, the PWHL, which there's a lot that can be done with that if people would like to.
You can stream those games on Peacock.
Yeah. For all you subscribers to Peacock, those games will be available. We've got Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, New York, Boston, and Minneapolis, St. Paul.
They should have just recreated the original 6.
That sounds like it was.
No, I think you have to throw Detroit in there for the original
exception
6.
of Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. What was the?
Awful.
Yeah,
The original 6 was Bruins, Rangers, Detroit, Montreal,
Toronto, and Chicago. I think.
I think it was Chicago.
Blackhawks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look at this. I'm like the Schwab. You guy's still alive, but we just answered like the Schwab.
Howie Schwab.
I never knew it was Howie Schwab.
Yeah, I never knew his first name.
Yeah. Could be anything else than Howie.
No, I had to
be honest.
By the way, it appears these teams either don't yet have them or do not have mascots. They are just named for their city.
Poe can do something in the off season.
Oh, they figured out. I'm telling you, they figured out how to save some money here because they all have the same logo. It's just different colors.
Oh. Does Poe know how to skate?
Can't on his torn Achilles. Those days.
No, right. That's
yeah.
See, now I thought Novak was going to take a chance to just work in Sir Purr on this one, but he didn't.
Ah, damn it! I forgot.
Sir Purr might be the Wayne Gretzky of this league if they let him play.
You know who used to be one of the best mascots was the Hornet. The Hornet would get up to he'd come out they had the Hornet, and then they also had the guy that would come out in the blue suit. Yeah, Super Hornet. Super Hornet. Come out just look like
Super
Blue Man Group.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be dunking off the trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are the 3 Angry Giant fans. We'll be back next week to break down the last week. We're gonna be here throughout the playoffs and then recap the Super Bowl before we take our vacation. So none of our teams are going to be participating in the playoffs, but that's usually a fun time of year for us because we're just able to talk about what's going on in the rest of the NFL. So I'm hoping there's more hijinks and shenanigans like we had this past week because there was a lot to talk about. And other than that, we will see you next week if you guys don't have anything else.
No, have a good week.
Have a good week. We'll be back next week.